To the surprise of many, Iran has a new president today who is also a reformer. Cleric Hassan Rouhani is described as a moderate conservative, but he was a candidate promising modest changes in the country. Rouhani won more than 50% of the vote. His closest rival was well behind with about 16% support. All of the candidates, including Rouhani, were given a stamp of approval by Iran's religious leaders who hold most of the real power in Iran. But Iranian voters decided to back a candidate promising a hint of reform. They and the rest of the world will have to wait and see just how much change he can actually make. Borzu Daragahi is a reporter with GRN, and we've reached him by phone in Cairo. So, Borzu, just how much of a reformer is Hassan Rouhani?
Well, he's not actually part of the traditional reform movement. He's actually part of the more of a moderate, pragmatic conservative, but however, for the purposes of this election, he teamed up with the reformist faction in Iran's politics, as well as the youth and the women and the activists and the liberals and the leftists. They sort of made a deal, it seems, implicitly. And it was one thing that was very explicit is at one point the avowed reformist candidate dropped out and sort of implicitly endorsed him. And that candidate now is going to be slated to be his vice president. He is someone who has no blood on his hands. He's not known for being one of the regime's most ideologically radical supporters. And during the time of former President Khatami, he was the chief nuclear negotiator, and during his time as chief nuclear negotiator, Iran and the West made a deal whereby Iran halted its nuclear program for 2 years.
So as president of Iran, of course, he's going to generate a lot of interest, and people will be talking about him on the international stage. But here's the key question. Does he have any real power to make change?
That's a really good point. In Iran, ultimate power rests in the hands of the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, especially on key issues. However, if you look at Iran's recent history and you compare the presidency of Ahmadinejad, who was very confrontational towards the West, very much of a hard line domestic and social policies, enforcing Islamist mores on the population. You compare his predecessor, Mohammad Khatami. Khatami changed relations between Iran and Arab countries. He somewhat improved relations between Iran and the West, and he eased up on social restrictions that hurt women and the young. So I think that Iranian president can make a difference, maybe not decisively, but they can change, for example, the tone of domestic and foreign policy.
Borzu, thanks very much for this. That's Borzu Daragahi speaking to us from Cairo.